Welcome to the Brian Craig Show podcast. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. And of course, the Brian Craig Show podcast is brought to you by Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing. If you're in Florida and you need a roof or roof repair after these hurricanes, Tom Laporta is the man. Find him online at laportaroofing.com. I just got a text from a friend of mine that said that the Japanese sent a delegation to the Trump rally. It's shocking to me. That's absolutely amazing. All right, well, we got a lot to talk about on the program.
Well, he was good friends with that prime minister that was killed. Remember, he came to Mar-a-Lago and him and his wife, and they went. Melania took him to the Murakami Gardens, which is a big Japanese garden here in Palm Beach.
I think they both got shot, Trump and the prime minister.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So we got a lot to cover, guys. Welcome to the program. I want to first start, Kamala Harris is turning 60 years old over the weekend, okay? She is a baby boomer. Baby boomers go from about 44, 45, and they end in 1964. Generation X begins in 65. So Kamala Harris, who was born in 1964, her birthday is October 20th. She is a baby boomer.
Just like Trump.
Yeah.
They're in the same generation.
That's correct. And, this whole thing with Kamala Harris, she keeps talking about a new generation of leadership. And I've been talking about this for a long time, but I'm bringing it back now because of her birthday. And I am predicting that the media are not going to do any reporting on Kamala Harris turning 60. Kamala Harris is trying to pass herself off as either Gen X or millennial. I'm not sure which it is. What do you think, Kathy? She's been vague about it.
I don't think she even knows. I think she's just saying things. She's just throwing everything at the wall.
Well, the thing with the birthday, though,
she's the only way it makes sense is she is a different generation than Biden.
Yes,
because he is from the silent generation. Yeah, which I Googled is before baby boomers.
That's correct.
And I'm not sure why they're called that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it's called.
Because they were born.
My mom's in that generation, and my dad.
Biden is of the generation that was born between World War I and World War II.
Right.
And all they had was the Great Depression in between. Right. So they're kind of like a.
So it's a new generation from Biden.
Yes.
Maybe that's what she means.
But Trump and her are both baby boomers. She's trying to pass herself off as a Gen Xer or millennial. She does not – I don't think most people know she's turning 60 years old over the weekend. And
I think she's trying to pass herself off like 55, 50.
50. 50. 55.
Or 55, yeah.
And the thing about it is, here we are literally days away from the presidential election. If she was turning, like, let's say 45 or even 50, but if she was turning 45, it would be a whole weekend of birthday celebrations. She would be going somewhere. Obama would show up with a cake. There'd be a party at the White House. Yeah. They would be celebrating her birthday on CNN and MSNBC. And now
the only one who's the new generation is J.D. Vance.
Yeah, that's exactly. Now they're not even going to mention her birthday in the mainstream media because they don't want people to know that she's a 60-year-old lady. Now, here's the thing.
That's true.
I think the older the better, okay? As people grow older, unless they get, their mind gets feeble like Biden. Trump has got a young mind. As people get older, they do become wiser. They have more perspective, more life experience, more knowledge, more practicality. They see the big picture a lot better. So I'm not into ageism.
Typically.
However, the Democrats are, okay? The Democrats are. And Kamala Harris is too. She keeps talking about we need a new generation of leadership when she's the old generation. She's a baby boomer. And she's completely lying about it. And I imagine that Kamala Harris probably is wearing girdles so tight, Kathy, that if anybody else put them on, it'd probably break a rib.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. She's holding back. I saw her at a party with her husband last year, maybe the beginning of this year. It was in California. They were at some house, and there was like a rap party going on.
Was it one of P. Diddy's white parties?
It might have been. And she was wearing not her business suit clothes, like more casual clothes. And I was surprised she had a pretty nice sized belly on her that's being held back down. If you look at her neck, that shows her age.
Well, maybe she's lost weight because she does not look heavy to me.
Because the girdles, I'm telling you, she is wearing. That's probably why when she speaks, she runs away so fast, not just to avoid questions, but that girdle's killing her.
They call them Spanx.
Oh, yeah.
Women wear Spanx.
Yeah, she's most definitely wearing Spanx.
Which I have never worn, but they're called Spanx.
Kathy, she's trying so hard to be young. She might be wearing the old-fashioned girdle and getting it tied back like Scarlett O'Hara in the beginning of Gone with the Wind.
Oh, my gosh.
There's a lot of something going on there. I mean, she's doing more hiding than a drag queen.
I realized something about her, and I mentioned this before. But first of all, she did a few rallies this weekend, and she was very happy, giggling.
Oh, she was drunk.
Just definitely seemed to me hammered.
Completely.
Like I said, she has two modes: overjoyed or over angry.
Yeah,
that's it. There's nothing in between.
Yeah.
She goes from one to the other.
Yes.
She speaks in transitions. Okay, a transitional phrase, because I used to teach English, is a phrase you use to transition from one thought to the next. Like you might say, for example, or on the other hand, or additionally. If you notice how she speaks, all she does is say transitional words.
Yeah.
She never gets to the point. She just goes from one transitional phrase to the next. Next time I'm going to count how many transitional phrases. I know what they are because I taught writing in school, and that was my specialty, was to teach for the FCAT writing test. I taught 8th grade and 7th grade, and that was my main. I took a whole course on it. That was my main thing. And transitional words were big, because if you use them on the test, you got an extra point. So I hammered that home with my students. Kamala uses a lot of transitional phrases in addition to, and additionally, she just never gets from A to B. She just circles around A.
She says
and you're
nothing.
like, what the hell are you talking
She
about?
She talks in riddles.
Well, she
transitional
speaks in riddles, and like Trump said, rhymes. She's stupid. Now, Trump keeps saying she didn't pass the bar. And he keeps saying that because I think he knows something, but he doesn't want to come out and say it. And we've speculated on this, whether she's even, and I bet his people have looked into this. They looked into that she didn't work at McDonald's.
Well, Kathy.
Can they look into that and see if she actually passed her bar exam?
And this is the thing, okay?
That would be crazy.
I'm going to take some credit for this because I've been talking for months and months and months on the radio, and, President Trump and his people do on occasion listen. We're in the Mar-a-Lago's in the listening range of the radio stations I'm on. And I do know that he has listened on more than one occasion, and people that work for him and in his family do listen to me. Okay, I'm not saying
they've told you.
Yeah, I'm not saying they listen every day religiously, but they do listen. Okay, I've been talking for months that I don't think she passed the bar. She failed it the first time, and Willie Brown, who set up two jobs. The first one was $60,000 a year. The other one was $90,000 a year. It would not have been difficult for him just to get her passed.
No,
and we don't know, but President Trump now talking about it. I'm not saying President Trump got it from me. Maybe he heard me, or maybe somebody in the family or on the staff were listening at Mar-a-Lago and heard me talking about it so much, because no one's brought that up.
He's putting it out there. He said it yesterday.
Yeah, and my guess would be they have done some type of investigation. Now, I know I've done standardized testing. Anybody that's had to do credentialed standardized testing, I had to do it for teacher certification and things. I had to show ID. They took my photograph. There was all kinds of things that they do so that you can't get people to take tests for you, okay? Now, I don't know what kind of records are kept for California bar exams, but I would imagine pretty strict records. There's got to be some record with now here in Florida, they'll take your photograph and check a state-issued ID before you take the bar. Every state's different. I don't know what the California laws are, but there's got to be some type of verification like that, or people would just hire people to take the bar exam for them.
Like I said, I don't know why some reporter like Miranda Devine or somebody like that has not, it might be too late at this point, done a deep dive into her past. Nobody's done this.
And I'll tell you,
it's a missed opportunity. It'll be, maybe they have, and they're waiting for the week before the election to come out with a big article.
If you have investigative resources, I don't think it's that difficult. Like, I'll tell you, if you're a college graduate, okay, and this is up to your employer, but if you you just can't write down on an application, I have a college degree and they accept it. Some companies, you sign a paper allowing them, there's a database when they have permission to do it where they can check and make sure that you really do have a college degree, okay? The bar exam, whatever testing goes into that and verification for the test taker, there have to be records of that because it's too important of a thing. We're talking about bar. There was an entire Law and Order episode. One of the main lawyer characters didn't get his last couple of credits in law school, and he passed the bar. They did a whole thing. There's all kinds of records.
I wonder if John had that situation. Remember, he failed it twice.
And he finally passed
And then he finally passed, and you only can take it 3 times. That's it. And he passed the 3rd time. Maybe somebody called in a favor for him,
No,
too.
he actually, I remember he did it.
So?
He was at the time, he was the most famous face in America.
Yeah.
At the time when Kamala took the bar, nobody knew who she was except Willie Brown and some other guys from,
I'd love to know how she met him.
So there's no doubt that President Trump has looked into this, and they may not have definitive proof, but they feel strong enough about it for him to comment on it. The other thing about this McDonald's, he did make a reference, it was either Thursday or Friday, that his people looked into it. They went to the McDonald's where she, I guess, would have had to, I don't know how they knew which one, but there's no records. McDonald's has no corporate records, and they went to somebody who's worked there since then, and they don't know her.
What I've said before is if she did work there, McDonald's would have verified it. They would have put out a tweet. Yes, she worked for us between blah, blah, blah. They have not done that.
No.
So that tells me that they are either liberal and they don't want to hurt her, or they don't want to get political. But if she had worked there, I would think they would just put a tweet out and say, yes, she did work for us. But he said they had people look into it. There's no record of her. And when you're president, like he has said this many times, there's a lot of things you can do. You have a lot of access that regular people don't have. So I'm sure all he had to do is make a phone call and find out whether she was employed. And a lot of people might say, well, that's no big deal. It is a big deal. You have 2 people on the same ticket that have lied about their resume,
repeatedly,
about their history. And when you lie about little things so easily, you're going to lie about big things too. And she's lying. Well, she's changed her position
with the
on
McDonald's.
Of course.
There's a couple possibilities with this McDonald's job. One, she completely made it up, which is very possible to fit into this middle class, working class.
I think that's it.
And she did not grow up working class or middle class. Both of her parents were tenured college professors. Yeah. Those people do not call themselves middle class. They call themselves the intelligentsia. They think they're a special
they're
group.
Part of the elite. I mean, her dad was a professor at Berkeley.
That's a big deal for a
liberal. That is not, like being a professor or a teacher at a community college.
Kathy, in the 60s.
Okay, that's like an elite school.
At the time when that was the center of the anti-war movement during Vietnam. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So Berkeley was the most high-profile liberal place on the planet when he was – so that's one possibility. She completely made it up. There's a secondary possibility. I think she made it up, okay? There's a second possibility, though, that she hasn't said when. My guess would be high school. So it was not during college, because that sorority she was in at Howard is like the elite sorority. It's very expensive to join. The girls that go to that sorority don't work at McDonald's, okay? It would have to have been when she was in high school. So I believe she made it up. But the other possibility is she's hiding something about it. And the only thing I could think of is it would highlight that she grew up in Canada, because it would have been a McDonald's in Canada.
Possibly.
Now,
I've never seen her speak French.
If I were interviewing her, this would not be at the top of my list, okay? Because I'd have to ask her about Willie Brown and the BMW and all that stuff. But
nobody's asked her about that at all.
But if I were talking to her about this, my first question would be, when you got that first job at McDonald's, how much you get paid? And everyone remembers how much they were paid at their first job.
She would just say minimum wage.
No, I would ask her, well, what was that? Because in Canada, Obviously, the dollars are different amounts. I don't know if they have a minimum wage in Canada, if they did then, what it was. When I started working, my first job on the clock, where I had a time clock, I made $3.65 an hour, and minimum wage was $3.35.
Yeah, I made $3.35. Everybody
I have ever been friends with, because most of our friends, most of my friends and Kathy's friends, you're the same age, around about the same age. I have not had a single friend in my life, no matter how old or young they are, okay, that does not know, one, how much their first job paid that they had to clock in on, and what minimum wage was at the time. Like sometimes it's only $2 an hour minimum wage. Right. Everybody knows that. So that's how I would trip her up on it. If she gave a number, she may not know that minimum wage was $3.35 in the United States because she was in Canada at the time. But I think she made it up, and it is important for the same reason you said, because Tim Walz. Now, there's just one last thing.
Well, and it's an insult to the average working class American, because McDonald's is an American company started here by the McDonald's brothers, and then Ray Kroc took it over. That's a great movie with Michael Keaton, by the way. Great movie.
Creep.
Not Michael Keaton. No, but it's a great movie though. And it's like a snub. Like she's got to lie and lower her status to be down with the people. She's a woman without an identity. That's why you don't know a lot about her, because
like Don Cheadle and Boogie Nights.
You always call it like a tofu person. You have a phrase like a tofu, because when you put tofu in something, it takes on the seasonings and the flavors of what you're cooking, because tofu doesn't have any flavor of its own, but it's like a sponge. And that's how you could describe people like that to me before. It's like they have like a tofu personality where wherever they are. I mean, I've seen her talk in like 10 different accents: Jamaican, Irish. If you want to say if the African American have an accent, that I'm sure when she speaks to her very snooty friends, she has an accent, maybe the transatlantic accent, like Katharine Hepburn. I don't know. But she's a woman without an identity, without a personality of her own. We just don't know anything about her. And I think that's the problem. One of the problems. She has many. And then she did these rallies this weekend, and I didn't watch them, but we watched a few minutes. And I just don't know what she's laughing at. I don't know why she laughs so much, drunk, other Kathy. Than she had a liquid lunch.
She was completely smashed.
When I was in high school, we used to be able to leave campus for lunch.
Oh, yeah.
You did too. That was a thing in the 80s. They don't do it anymore because all the students would either go eat lunch, go home to have sex with each other, or have a liquid lunch. It's
or go
true.
to the beach.
Or go to the beach. It was that's what our school was 10 minutes from the beach. That's what you did. And you could always tell the kids that had a liquid lunch because they'd come to fifth period laughing their ass off.
Yeah, I used to do that all the time. I used to do that all the time.
So you knew they were hammered and the teachers knew, because they were laughing the whole freaking time in the middle of fifth period.
Yeah.
And then by sixth period, they were sleeping.
Yeah.
So that's how you knew. And that's how she is.
I had a, when
somebody should say to her, what is so effing funny?
When Kathy and I went to different high schools in the same town at the same time. Kathy's a year older than me.
Yeah, we're just a couple miles apart.
So our high schools were like almost like the competing high schools of each other almost. And we
played you in homecoming when I was in 10th grade.
Yeah, and Kathy and I over the years have found that we knew a lot of the same people. But we didn't know each other at the time. Yeah. But so we grew up in the same area, and there was this place. It was a drive-through, kind of like a farm store. Yeah, it was called the Cage. Yeah. And if you could drive your car there, you could be 12. If you could drive a car there, they'd sell you beer and wine coolers.
True.
You know,
that guy made a freaking fortune, and everybody went to him. He was in a good location.
And my first job, where I was paid $3.65 an hour when minimum wage was $3.35 an hour. That's why I didn't work at McDonald's.
You were rich.
My friends worked at McDonald's, and they all made $3.35 an hour minimum wage. And I applied at Publix, and they're going to pay me 30 cents more an hour. There's no doubt about it, you know. So I took the job at Publix. But this place that sold alcohol was right next door to the Publix. Yes. And this guy that was selling all of his high school kids beer and wine coolers, and he even had like Thunderbird wine. He had everything in there going on. He used to come in shop. And, he got treated like a king. But anyway.
He had a line a mile long on Friday and Saturday nights.
You want to talk about the liquid lunches. My friends and I, we'd go out on the weekend and, I had a cooler in the back of my car, and it always had beer and wine coolers in it.
Did your mom know?
No, no, not unless she's listening to this. And
she knows now.
Me and my friends, at lunchtime at school, we'd go out to my car and we'd have beer and wine coolers.
So many people do that. Or they go smoke pot.
So I know, that was a long time ago when I was a teenager, but Kamala was drunk at that.
Yeah, and she's 60.
Events.
So she's an adult and running for president. She's not 15.
So let's get back to the 60.
But she acts like a 15-year-old.
I want to get back to her birthday because I want you guys to comment on this. If she were turning 45 or 50, there would be an entire weekend celebration around her birthday. They would have a special rally event for her birthday. Celebrity guest would be on television while she would go on The View, and Julia Roberts would come in via satellite to wish Pamela a happy birthday. They would do this whole thing.
I don't know why they call her Pamela. She's not a mom.
She's a cat mom.
Does she have a cat?
She's got that weird daughter with the tattoos. That's the model.
That's not really.
But
that's her stepdaughter. Not really the same thing as raising a child. I'm
No,
sorry.
not at all. Not at all. But her turning 60 is a major media cover up. And I was watching a couple of things I just wanted to talk about over the weekend. I was watching this documentary on YouTube about something that I did not know was real. Okay. I remember as a kid seeing this in the tabloids, and over the years, I just thought it was a tabloid thing. Mm-hmm. There was a Japanese soldier who thought the war was going on, and he was still waging war from the jungles of the Philippines until 1974. And most of that time, he had a small unit. He had a platoon under his command. He was down to 4 guys, and for about 20 years, there were 4 of them. And the other ones, 1 got left, and 2 got killed, and he was by himself for a while. And it wasn't until 1974. 39 years after, after the war ended, that
30 years.
Yeah, 29 years after the war ended, that he finally gave himself up. And it's an interesting story. You should look him up online. But I have been after I watched this documentary on him, it was like 15 or 20 minutes long. I got really interested in this guy. So, because it just blew my mind that he did that. And so I've been reading up on him online and things about him. I never heard of the guy before, other than it was in the Weekly World News. So one where they talk about
that's accurate.
And I always thought
I like the Weekly World News.
That's just I never thought this story was real until I saw this documentary today. So I've been reading all kinds of stuff on this guy all day because I just find it fascinating. And I found
going down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to me. I'm sure there's got to be some Japanese movies about this guy. If I can find those, I'd like to watch 1 or 2.
Yeah, because you said he went home a big hero.
Yeah, he went back to Japan in 1974. He was welcomed as a hero, and they gave him all of his back pay as an army lieutenant from 1945 until 1974, and he became a rancher. And then eventually he stopped being a rancher, and this is what he should have started with. He started a school teaching survival, like living, to
He'd be good
people,
on Survivor
if he were alive. He died in like 2014 or something. But anyway, so I was reading a bunch of articles about this guy. Where am I going with this?
Yeah, where are you going?
I found one article.
Trump can do that and come back to the point.
I was reading an article. Everything goes back to Trump.
Exactly.
I was reading one article about it, and they were talking about how, because it sounds so fantastical, they must have been nuts. And they said this is how fanatical the Japanese were in brainwashing their soldiers, because he was 20 years old when this started. And just like the MAGA people. So it
said that in the documentary?
No, not in the documentary. In an article I read online this morning.
Gosh,
and now
that's nuts.
I read about 30 articles on this guy.
They just got to throw it in everywhere they can.
Exactly.
It has no relevance at all.
We're so fanatical.
They really believe that.
We're going to be in the, I guess you and I will be in the Florida Everglades standing up for Trump.
Trump flags.
You know.
Give me a break.
Yeah, I know. Isn't it? Isn't that so strange?
And they really believe that too.
There's some things that you really shouldn't have politics involved in. Now, I want to play this, and this, President Trump is just so good at.
Before you do that, people. I want to talk about his rally last night. How it was sabotaged.
Oh yes, we definitely got to talk about that.
We were watching the rally in Michigan, which is a blue state right now, and he had all these speakers up ahead of him, right? Everything was cool. Everything was fine. And then he starts talking, and a few minutes in, his mic goes, all the audio in the whole place goes out.
Yeah. For how long?
20 minutes.
20 minutes,
He was standing up there, and it was definitely sabotage. Definitely. No doubt about it. And they finally, after a while, but they need to be prepared for things like this because it's so juvenile, but the liberals are going to pull every stunt they can to throw him off his game, to get something they can use against him. He did nothing wrong. He handled it fine.
Let's talk about the thing with the mic, okay? Because I make a living.
But he said he's not paying the company that did the audio.
I make a living with microphones, so I know a little bit about how these things work. And for the sound to be out for 20 minutes, that was sabotage of the main system. There's backups because when there's a problem, there's other microphones. You just grab another mic.
Right.
Or, like I have too many microphones. Kathy will tell you. A lot of microphones. I have a lot of microphones.
Like 8 in the house.
At least. And I've thrown away a bunch and given some away, taken some to work.
What do you do at work? Have you had an issue with audio like that at the radio station?
There's other control boards, there's other microphones, there's other rooms. But now I want you guys to think about it. Every event you've been to, a concert, a Broadway show, anything, a sporting event. The first time I went, they all have on occasion sound problems. First time I had a sound problem in an event, when I was 5, my mom and grandmother took me to be in the peanut gallery of the Howdy Doody show. You guys remember Howdy Doody? They used to film it in Miami Beach in the 70s, and it was the first time I came to Florida. We were in the peanut gallery, which is what they call the audience. And I remember there was a girl on the show with Buffalo Bob, and she had a microphone problem during the filming of it. And there's been many times when I've been to a concert, a show, or public speaking, or doing something myself because, I do things, and there's a sound problem. It's 99.99999% a microphone. You switch out mics.
Right.
And if it's a problem with part of the sound systems, they have, at a venue like that, they have multiple backups. So I
was surprised. Like they didn't just hand him another mic,
and the power didn't go out in the venue. So
that would have been scary.
And the way Trump was behaving, sabotage, just like when he went to the black journalist thing with the 3 ladies.
That's right.
With Faulkner and the other 2 that got nasty.
Right.
Remember they did a mic problem where he couldn't hear them. Someone did something to sabotage the audio at Trump's Friday Michigan event. Nothing could convince me anything else. I have never seen a problem at a big venue. Like on our first cruise, every night, the first night on every cruise, we have an event where I'll get up. Steve will do it with me. We get up and sometimes it's on a stage, sometimes it's just in front of a room with everybody in our group, and we go over the week's events. First night, so everybody knows everybody and what's going on. First cruise. The sound system wasn't working, right? We were in a big breakout room. The sound system wasn't working, right? Went to another room. They wheeled it and they wheeled in another sound system, and we just used that one, right? So this is a place where they have concerts and stuff, sporting events. There's redundancies. Someone did something, and I'm very surprised, unless I missed it. There hasn't been much discussion about it, Kathy. People talk about the sound going out and him being up on stage for 20 minutes, but I haven't heard about anyone getting to the bottom of a sabotage. And if you remember that, President Trump did a rally during the lockdowns, remember? It's the one Herman Cain got sick on and died after that, okay? And when that rally started, if you guys remember this, it was on Right Side. When he went on television, the place was pretty empty. And it wasn't just because of social distancing, which was in play at the time. Turned out there was this anti-Trump liberal guy that was in charge of the arena.
Well, what about
he was making the ushers do social distancing in a way so it looked empty and was keeping people from getting inside.
So juvenile. What about when Charlie Kirk had that event and they set up the stage to look like that Nazi?
Yes.
And Alyssa Milano happened to know what that was and pointed out these kinds of things. You have to be. Trump is always.
Somebody at the venue did that to Charlie Kirk.
10 steps ahead. But his team, I'm sure he was pissed that they didn't have it. But I guess if they knock out the whole system, even there's nothing they can do.
Well, look at how they manipulate Trump's podiums at the debates. And then, and the thing is, the sabotage, what happens when they do those events is they rent out the event, right? They rent out the venue, and the sound and stuff is part of the rental because
he just said he won't pay the bill.
Yeah, sound systems are unique to those venues. They're too big of a sound system for them to. He's not a concert tour, so he doesn't have so that is sabotage. Have you been to a concert, Kathy? You see the guys with the soundboards? They got so many boards. Have you ever seen a concert have to stop for 20 minutes because
no, I've never seen
the microphone didn't work?
Never seen that happen ever. And the audio's out, everything. So you're right, it was a main switch. And on Right Side Broadcasting, she said that they even came to them and their audio guy went to try to help. The Trump people went to them. So they didn't
have someone there that knew how to use the system, is what Right Side must have been implying.
Maybe. I mean, that to me seems like the venue did that on purpose. So Trump should definitely not pay that bill. They did it on purpose. They're responsible. It's a minor thing.
Trump never pays in advance.
And the audience handled it well. They were doing the wave and stuff, and Trump handled it well. He was just
everyone knew what was going on.
I'm sure he wasn't happy standing there. He had a very long day.
Didn't it scare you though? Because
it was scary.
When the sound went out, I was afraid that was going to be another attempt.
Well, no, I think that they're just. You have a lot of people, rogue people.
Yeah.
Maybe not rogue, but they're trying to do their little part to make him look stupid. And it was probably a liberal audio guy. Did you ever see, you never seen Strictly Ballroom, which is one of my favorite movies, and there's a scene in the movie where the couple's dancing and the woman's mad and she goes and turns off the main power switch and it switches off the music and the lights and they can't dance anymore, and then the kids find the main power switch. It's a whole thing in the movie. It's funny. So that's kind of what it reminded me of, is some idiot just thought they were just, it was going to be fun, but maybe they thought that they would be able to turn off the audio completely and that they wouldn't. See, I don't think they planned on them getting it back on. I think they planned on them having to cancel and say, well, I'm sorry. And then he did say that the microphone was awful and he was straining his voice.
Kathy,
and he said, if I lose my voice, I'm blaming these people.
When you are on a sound system for a venue like that, there's more than just what you would see like a soundboard. There's a room that has everything.
It's all the wires. It's crazy.
We have this at the radio station. And unless you work at that place with that system,
you wouldn't know.
You would never be able to figure out what was going on.
Why is there one main switch? So say somebody turned off one main switch. Why was it take so long? They were fuddling around with the microphones by the stage.
Well, it was.
Why didn't somebody go try to find this main switch?
It was working fine, and then somebody disconnected something somewhere,
and they couldn't figure out where. And
they disconnected it in a deep way, and
because nothing worked. They kept trying all different mics, and none of them worked.
And I'll tell you guys, how I take calls screenless on the radio, and I like doing that, and that's the way the show goes now.
Yeah,
but I started doing that. For a couple reasons. When I first started in radio, the radio station wouldn't pay for me to have a board op. So I had to be the board op and the on-air guy. So I didn't have someone to answer phones. But then, of course, later when things picked up, we had the ability, like I have a board op now, Mike. The radio station studio was in another location 2 years ago, and we had a board op there. But board ops run the sound, the technical and everything. And the reason that the call screening stayed even after I had board ops is because sometimes they get pissed at you everybody that works at a radio station wants to be on the air. So there's a lot of passive aggressiveness.
People have done that. In fact, you said you've done that yourself.
Yeah, people sabotage other shows. Yeah, I used to do it as a boarder.
No. But you were like 21 years old.
No, but I'm talking about grown men. Yeah. They sabotage things. And sometimes they sabotage things by turning something off somewhere. And because there's 263 buttons, it can be hard for somebody that doesn't know what got hit. So anyone that works in sound or anything else, there's a long history of sabotage by technical people. I was at a Star Trek convention once, and there was one of the actors. He was one of the main Klingons. He played General Gowron in Star Trek: The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine. And there was an episode, and I actually asked him about this, and I couldn't believe he told this story. I said, there was an episode I was watching with you, and you were the main character in the whole thing, but every time you were talking, I couldn't see you. And he said, it's funny you ask that. The cameraman was near him when he was doing a stunt scene, and he knocked over the cameraman. And the cameraman was pissed. So when he filmed it, he kept him out of frame when he was talking.
That kind of stuff happens all the time.
And he sabotaged him. And he's like, that was supposed to be my big episode. You don't even see me. So anyway, some bitter liberal sound guy in Michigan did something to cut Trump's mic off.
Do you and it kind of seemed, and I could be wrong.
Do you agree with that?
Totally.
Yeah.
It was obvious. It kind of seemed to me almost like Trump didn't care because I don't think he thinks he can win Michigan. Like it's a crapshoot.
No, he's ahead in Michigan.
Oh, he's ahead.
He's ahead in Michigan, Kathy.
Maybe he was just tired. He seemed
what
like
it is?
Whatever.
You know what it is?
Like kind of like I'm over this.
He knew exactly what it was, and this is what he was thinking. They shot me. They've arrested me. They got these ridiculous judgments against me. They got this corrupt conviction in New York against me. They got my mugshot, and now they cut my mic.
I think
he's like, here they go again.
Only help him because people know what it is. It's obvious, and what's happening, and it just reinforces that whole idea that Trump is being treated badly and not fairly, and that people are out to get him. Now he has another rally tonight. I think it's in Pennsylvania. So we're going to watch that. It'll be interesting to see. But I think this one's an outdoor rally.
Yeah, the thing about the Michigan thing, the way that he carried himself up there.
Amazing if he won it.
When the sound went out for 20 minutes and he's just up there walking around with that show. I know everyone has a different take on this than I do. Mm-hmm. I think it shows incredible patience on his part. Mm-hmm. Remember, what would have happened if Kamala's microphone went out? She would have had a freak out. She would have gotten hysterical.
I think he said that, or somebody said that. Maybe
she would have
on
panicked.
Right Side, and they said, "What would happen if this happened?" I think it was the Right Side lady. She said, "What would happen if this happened to Kamala?" She wouldn't know what to do.
She would have panicked.
She would just sit up there and laugh the whole time.
She would have panicked.
20 minutes straight.
No. She would have panicked.
You think she would have left the stage?
Most people that, when you're on stage giving a speech, it's a performance as well. You know what I mean? You're in front of this group. You got thousands of people watching.
Plus he's on TV.
The typical reaction of someone when something like that happens is to freak out and panic. And just like when he got shot, he got back up and said, fight, fight, fight. When the mic went out and he was up there for just like the other day when there was a person had a health emergency and he was up there for like 16 minutes, right, on stage. Well, how long was that one? Remember the other day? It was a long time.
I mean, do you think that health emergency was real?
Yes.
I'm starting to wonder.
Why? What do you mean?
Maybe some liberal faked it.
Oh, to interrupt the rally?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong, but I mean, what are the? I don't mean to sound like nuts.
No, you're.
But what are the odds that the last? That this kind of stuff is happening at his rallies to try to throw him off his game.
I think there's something to that. Now,
come on.
Listen, we just had this super bad hurricane. We've had two of them in a row. Milton was the second, Helene, then Milton. We've had these two big hurricanes hit Florida. Oh boy. If you need a roof replacement or a roof repair anywhere in the state of Florida, you want to call Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting and Roofing. He's been with us on the radio for many, many years. He's a good MAGA guy, and he will never sell you a roof you do not need, Tom Laporta. He not only works on every type of structure, from single-family homes to massive mansions or condos, HOAs, municipal buildings, churches, schools. He does, he just actually.
If it has a roof, he deals with it.
Yeah, he was just
That's
actually
the end of it. Exactly. If it's got a roof, call him.
Yeah, he was recently involved in the restoration of a church by restoring the roof of a church here in Florida, a historic church. But anyway, he can also handle a job of any size. So, say for example, you have a condo or an apartment building or an office complex, and it's one building, that's fine. But if you have 150 buildings, he can handle it, a job of any size. Yep. So this number rings directly to Tom Laporta's cell phone, 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. You can call or text 954-604-4602 for Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting and Roofing. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We're going to take a quick break and be back right after this.
Exciting news, everyone. Say hello to Clarionelle.com, your brand new online shopping destination for everything you need at prices you'll love. Looking for stylish home essentials, family must-haves, kids' toys and gear, or even pet supplies? You'll find it all at Clarionelle.com. From home and family to kids, pets, and beyond. We've got every category covered for all people, all genders, and all ages. And here's the best part. Affordable prices and worldwide shipping right to your door. So why wait? Visit Clarionelle.com today and start shopping for your whole family anywhere in the world. Clarionelle.com, your one-stop shop for everything you'll love. When it comes to safety at work, you deserve the best. Protex-DZ.com equips workers just like you with top-quality safety gear and workwear that's designed to protect and enhance your performance. Whether you work in construction, healthcare, road work, warehouse work, and more, Protex-DZ.com have what you need and what you're looking for. From durable steel-toe safety sneakers, tactical military boots, or construction rain boots, your feet will be protected in any environment. Need head protection? No problem. Protex-DZ.com carry everything from construction helmets to anti-fog gas masks. They even have face shields. And don't forget about hand protection. Their selection includes industrial gloves, kitchen gloves for restaurant workers, welder gloves, and even insulated gloves for electricians. When you're looking for custom gear, Protex-DZ.com have an incredible selection of print-on-demand items, including phone cases, t-shirts, hoodies, and more. You can customize them for holidays like Halloween and Christmas, and they ship worldwide. Visit the store right now at Protex-DZ.com. View the inventory. You will be impressed. You can also find them on Facebook at ProtexDZ. And right now, their countdown discount has started. Buy one item, get 20% off. Buy two, receive 25% off. And buy three, you'll get a 30% discount. Protex-DZ.com, your partner in safety, performance, and style. Protex-DZ.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks, everyone, so much for tuning in. Okay, so I caught live, it got recommended to me on YouTube, Kamala Harris speaking in, was it Philadelphia, Michigan?
I think she was in Michigan.
She was in Michigan, yeah.
At a very beautiful park.
Well,
it's a nice small little park.
Yeah, I've seen Kamala speak at two events this week, okay? And I am here I do not say this lightly, what I'm about to tell you. A lot of people say this with everything. Yeah. Everything they see. What I'm about to tell you, a lot of conservatives say this is true of everything they see. You never hear me say what I'm about to say.
Right.
Okay. The people in the crowd at this Michigan speech for Kamala Harris, at least the ones that were on camera, are actors. And I don't say this lightly. They're actors, and I'll tell you why. And you guys go and watch this, and I'll tell you which one it is. Okay, it's Kamala Harris. You can find this on YouTube. She's speaking in Michigan, and when she's on stage, the background are like trees with the fall golden leaves.
Beautiful, beautiful up there.
I know we don't have fall in Florida. We have summer and summer. But it's like and it's done in a very cinematic way.
Yes.
And she's chanting weird things out, and they got their fist up and they're repeating her in unison, and they all look too good. They're actors. I've never said that about everybody. A lot of people say everybody's an actor at everything. You never hear me. I'm not saying crisis actors, but they're definitely actors.
It made me think of like they were filming a scene in a movie and the director yelled action.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And then there was another rally where a girl got up to speak and she was trying to lead them in a chant. Trump doesn't lead anybody in a chant. They just do it on their own. Have you ever seen Trump start a chant? Never.
Sometimes he does a poll.
No. A chant.
Yeah.
He never starts saying USA, USA, or Trump, or we love you. The audience does that on their own. Kamala and Tim Walz have to have people go on the podium and try to start a chant. It's always cringe. Like they showed one today of this girl. They talk to everybody like they're in kindergarten, probably because they have school teachers running the campaign or running for the government. And they have Kamala, who has got the mind of a 5-year-old. And they go, okay, boys and girls, let's do this and let's do that. And then they try to get the audience going, and it's always falls flat. So now she's gone from being the campaign of joy, remember it was joy, to now fear-mongering and anger. And this reminds me of when Hillary was losing. Hillary started screaming and coming unhinged and yelling at her rallies too. That started happening the last few weeks.
I want to play a clip of Kamala, but go and look it up online, her Michigan speech with the fall leaves behind her, and watch the crowd. You tell me that what Kathy said I think is true. Like a director said action, and they
just
and they
like
started
out of
doing
a movie. Absolutely.
Yeah. But this is a short clip. I would not do more than just a short clip of Kamala at the event. Okay.
Should never again have the privilege of standing behind the seal of the President of the United States. Never again.
Oh my goodness.
Never again. Never again.
Okay, then they start chanting "Never again."
That's why she said it over and over again, trying to get that going.
Now, this is just this is what they rehearsed on the bus over. This is what they're supposed to do. They're actors. So, now I don't know if this is just me or not. And you let me know if you agree or disagree, Kathy. And you guys that are listening, let us know in the comments. This screaming thing. I don't recall ever. It's just like that interview with Bret Baier. I don't recall ever hearing Donald Trump scream and yell and shout at the top of his lungs over something. Do you?
No. The only time I've seen him get a little, I would say, agitated.
When he got shot, he was pissed off.
Well, that obviously
said fight,
but I wasn't even going to say is there's been a couple times when was debating like Jeb, but everybody was heated.
Screaming like
not screaming. No, like I said, he was a little agitated. You could see, and it wasn't unwarranted. She's screaming for no reason at all. Like when Trump has never screamed, but when Trump, you could see him like getting pissed off a little bit. It's because he's being attacked and he's defending himself and he's like, look, you're lying about me. And so it's makes sense. It's valid. This is just unhinged behavior.
Yeah.
And, Kamala is, I don't know. Like I said, I think she's got some kind of personality disorder. I think that's clear. But she just goes from, people don't know her because she goes from laughing like a cackling hyena.
Yeah.
Somebody said she's like an autistic hyena. Remember that comedian? And she goes from that laughing out of context, okay, to screaming and ranting and raving out of context. So that's a problem for her. There's no context to her. Right,
menopausal mood swings.
I would not blame this on menopause. Okay, I think that's a part of it. But I'm going through menopause, and I don't go around laughing at the top of my lungs for no reason or screaming for no reason. If I scream, I have a reason. But I think she has a personality/mood issue. I'm venturing to say more of a borderline personality issue. And maybe menopause is compounding this. Maybe wine is compounding this, edibles, I don't know. Yeah. She's bizarre. I've never seen anybody communicate like this, and this is a problem.
Well, another thing she does. Yeah.
I mean, she's strange.
And this is what I want. This is what I don't know if you guys will agree with me on or not. You guys can let me know in the comments. You can let me know what you think, of course. Following this a lot of times women that are in politics, this is not exclusive to Democrats. This is exclusive to women that are in the public eye in politics of every party. A lot of times they want to try to they want to show they're as good as a man or like a man. So they think if they yell and scream and get pissed that they're acting tough and manly, and they look like hysterical, crazy people. I give you an example with a Republican. Okay.
Joe Biden starts screaming too, and he's a woman.
Well, he's on a lot of. He's a mental patient.
I don't think this is a female thing necessarily. I think that it's a desperation thing. Joe Biden goes at a rally, and you always said he does it to look like he's with it, like he's got energy.
Yes,
and that's what all this stuff.
That's from his Alzheimer's.
All this stuff with the fake, chants and her yelling is to show that they have momentum, to show that they have energy behind them, because they don't.
Well, Biden,
there's no energy behind her.
Okay, just real quick on Biden. A lot of times, people that are suffering from Alzheimer's or another age-related dementia issue that are out of it, they come off angry all the time because the anger they think it makes it look like they're with it and have energy.
Well, that's why I think she might be doing.
Women a lot of time maybe I don't agree. Maybe I think a lot of times women that are in these positions try to act tough like men. I'll give you
it's a mix.
I'll give you a Republican example. Christy Noem with killing the puppy. I think she made that up. I don't think she shot the puppy, Christy Noem. She wrote that book and put it in the book because remember, even Don Jr. said, "Who would put that in a book?" And I think Christy Noem, and I like Christy Noem, by the way, and she's back in the fold. She moderated a town hall with President Trump, so don't take this as me, giving a hard time. I like Christy Noem. Okay, she's very good. If it wasn't for that puppy story, she might be the nominee instead of JD. Right? That puppy story, she was on the list. I think she made up the puppy story for the book, so she could show that she was tough like a man and could make the tough decisions. And, the family loved the puppy, but it had to be put down, and she did it. And then she picked the kids up from school right after. Remember, she killed a goat, too. Then she picked up the kids at the school bus. I think she made it up. She was trying to sound tough like a man. That's what Kamala, I think, is doing. She's trying to look like – let me play this. This will be the last clip of Kamala, okay? I promise, okay? I know 2 is tough. 1's tough. 2 is – I'm asking a lot, but this is a quick one.
And now he is ducking debates and canceling interviews. Come on. And check this out. His own campaign team recently said it is because of exhaustion.
Yeah. He's doing nonstop interviews all day, every day. I don't know of any interviews he's canceled.
Well, he responded to that.
Can I play that? And what debate did he cancel? Because he didn't do another debate with her?
Yeah, he didn't cancel anything.
A debate.
First of all, she was the one who rejected the Fox debate and wouldn't do it. But anyway, a reporter went up to him and asked him that today. So here's his response.
How do you think this affects the border? Kamala Harris said she thinks you're exhausted. That's why you're canceling events. Are you exhausted?
What event have I canceled? I haven't canceled. She doesn't go to any events. She's a loser. She doesn't go to any events. She didn't even show up for the Catholics last night at the hotel. It was insulting. All they are is sound bites. So today I was at Fox and Friends at 7 in the morning. I then went to 2 different other appearances. I then made about 15 phone calls. I've gone 48 days now without arrest. And I've got that loser who doesn't have the energy of a rabbit. Let me tell you something. She should have been last night with the Catholics. So all they do is put out sound bites. Tell me when you've seen me take even a little bit of a rest. Not only am I'm not even tired. I'm really exhilarated. You know why? We're killing her in the polls. Because the American people don't want her. She didn't pass her bar exam. She's not a smart person. She's not a person that should represent our country. So I just want to let you know that very clearly. Go ahead.
There you go. So
he hasn't canceled any. You got to turn it down.
It's hard to close these out.
There you go. Okay, he hasn't canceled any interviews, and he's been doing nonstop events.
Well, she is so stupid. Somebody even said, is her campaign trying to sabotage her? I watched that Al Smith dinner. I usually watch it. It's nice to watch, and I'm Catholic. It was very good. And Jim Gaffigan is a funny comedian, and he really ripped her.
I've never heard of him before.
Oh, he's very famous.
Is he?
But you don't follow comedians. You're not into comedy as much, surprisingly. Yeah. Like, you're not into that stuff. He's very funny, and he was surprisingly very nice about Trump, and I thought he'd be different, and he really ripped her for not being there. And she doesn't show up to this dinner, and Trump did. Trump flew there from Florida. In fact, you were coming home from work and saw they closed off 3 major roads on I-95 at 10 in the morning, and you said, Trump's getting ready to leave, and you called me, and you said, I'm driving home on I-95, and, sorry, the cat just knocked that down, and you said, Trump must be leaving because all these major roads are closed here, and, that's what happens. He left Florida yesterday, met with a bunch of people, flew to New York, went to this dinner that was late in black tie, and then she didn't even show up. She did this stupid video that was so blasphemous. Then she comes out the next day and says he's exhausted. Who told her to do that? It was the dumbest thing I've seen her do, because she's walking right into, everybody's going to say, well, yeah, but you weren't even at that dinner last night. And this guy was. He's everywhere. In fact, I have his schedule. And he talked about it, and somebody put this on X. He has a rally tonight in Detroit. Tomorrow, a rally in Pennsylvania. Sunday, a town hall. Monday, rally. 2 rallies. Three rallies on events on Monday.
Yeah, it's nonstop.
He'll be in Miami at a round table next Tuesday. Another rally on Wednesday. Then Las Vegas Thursday, and then Madison Square Garden. He has about 10 events, major events over the next week. Meanwhile, he's making phone calls, meeting people in private, having all these meetings. The guy doesn't stop. So you know what? He's not exhausted. He said he's exhilarated. But if he was exhausted, I wouldn't blame the guy. He's working his ass off. And all she did was highlight how hard he's working for the American people, while she just comes out and makes a stupid statement and then runs away from reporters and doesn't do anything. She's insufferable.
No, I agree. It's stupid. Well, the reason that she keeps talking about Trump like this is it's not, a lot of people think because she's got nothing to say and all that. Of course she has nothing to say, but the main reason is she's surrounded by people that are obsessed and hate Trump. And that's all they talk about when she's.
Who was it that said, you told me a quote today? Somebody said, when you hate your enemies, you lose your perspective or something. Mm-hmm. And you heard that and you said that's very true.
Somebody on Fox said that about Don Corleone said that in The Godfather.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, well, it's a great movie. If you hate your enemies, you lose your perspective or lose your rational thinking or something like that. And that's very true. Look at Mark Cuban. He's lost his mind. Rachel Maddow, Joy Reid. When you are so filled and consumed with hatred for somebody as an obsession, you really do lose your critical
that's what
thinking
Moby Dick
skills.
is about.
That's exactly right. That's exactly.
Or the
Trump
wrath
is Moby Dick. That's
or the
right.
Wrath of Khan. That's what that's about.
That's exactly right. Khan was obsessed with Kirk and ended up destroying him in the end.
What happens with hate and anger?
It's a classic tale.
Is it clouds your mind? It has an intoxication effect on your brain. You lose your reasoning.
That's
you
right.
lose your critical thinking. You can't see straight, and it leads you to destruction. And
it's true.
But what's going on with Kamala? You got to understand, Kathy. Kamala, she's a terrible person, but Kamala Harris, she's, believe it or not, I mean, this may sound strange to some of you people, but she's had a pretty blessed life. She's won every election she's been in. If she went after a job, she's got it. And I know you'll say, well, she dropped out of the presidential race last time. She was in the presidential race for 5 minutes. She went to, she did the 2 debates, and then she became vice president. She did it through sleazy ways, with Willie Brown and stuff. But she wanted to be district attorney. Boom. She wanted to be attorney general. She got it. And then she's a senator all of a sudden. then she's vice president.
Well,
so
when you make a deal with the devil, that's what happens.
So what's happening?
All your dreams come true.
What's happening with Kamala? For the first time, she just can't call up some sugar daddy and take care of her. Like, I bet you that, when she dropped out of the presidential race 4 years ago during those Democrat primaries after that second debate, that was humiliating. In fact, after that second debate, she was polling at 1%. Remember that? 1%.
Yeah.
And that's why she dropped out. And she called in a favor with someone. A lot of people say that a lot of people think she had an affair with Obama. And I know a lot of people say, well, he's not into – I think Obama is into anything, right? He's like Biden.
I think Obama's into himself.
It's been a rumor that he's been having an affair with Jennifer Aniston. I don't know if it's true, but that's been rumored online.
He probably put that rumor
probably
out there.
Probably wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, he's a big geek.
But who would make that up? Have you seen her lately? I mean, this isn't the days of friends. But anyway, somehow she called in a favor with some guy. We'll call it you know what I mean by a favor, and got the nomination for vice president. Okay, she's always been able to work some angle with some probably men usually to get what she wanted. So what's happening with Kamala Harris? For the first time in her life, she's not getting her way, right? And she's having a meltdown over it. She's having a complete meltdown. She's going to be 60 years old this weekend. You don't see them celebrating that in the news, telling you that she's going to turn 60 on the 20th. Is her 60th birthday?
Well,
and at 60, for the first time in her life, she's facing rejection and not getting what she wants.
There is so much pressure around her right now. It's really coming down to the wire, and everything she does publicly is just making it worse for her. And it is so down to the wire now. She has all these people around her telling her this, telling her that. Obama's running the show of her campaign, okay? He is the puppet master. He was the puppet master with Biden, and he's the puppet master. He lives in D.C. He moved there. I mean, he's very much a player. He is running her campaign into the ground, by the way. I mean, I saw him speak last week a little bit. He is so rusty. He has lost his edge. I mean, he looks like a withered old lady, like Bill Clinton. But he is running her campaign and advising her. Obama has not campaigned in a long time, and it was pre-Trump. Mm-hmm. Okay? Things are different now. The world is different. Politics are different. And his old tricks of calling Trump names and playing the race card and talking down to black people and trying to convince them to vote for the woman of color, these things aren't working. And he has no juice anymore, but he thinks he does. Mm-hmm. He told Biden, I still have time. There's still time. No, there's no time. So there's a lot of pressure on her, the campaign. Brian, there is so much money that these rich, wealthy people are spending on her. She has got to be feeling the heat. You know, when you're in a campaign and you're losing and you have hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars riding on you, winning, and you're not winning, that has got to get into your head. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm sorry. You can see she's starting to crack under the pressure. And that's what I think's going on. Yeah. I mean, you could see it.
Well,
she's losing
Kathy, it. There's a couple things, okay? New polls came out on Friday that this is the Real Clear Politics average. Donald Trump is leading in every battleground state. And that's new because he just took over in Arizona and Michigan. So he is now winning in every single battleground state. And I know some of those polls are only half a point or a point. People are it's only but he was behind before. Right. So if say he's half a point ahead, he's really up like 2 or 3 from where he was just a few days ago in those states. And George H.W. Bush, I heard talk about this. He's another one. He was connected. He always got what he wanted. He lost to Bill Clinton, And I heard him on an interview a few years after he left office, and he said losing the election is so difficult. He says it's humiliating. This was H.W. Bush. He says it is humiliating because you're being rejected by the entire country. And he said that he had a hard time getting out of bed after it happened. And H.W. Bush had things together, right, in his mind compared to this lunatic, Kamala Harris. And I'll tell you, guys, I've mentioned this a few times. When I saw I was very lucky. I was one of the last people to see President Trump as president in his first term. I saw him the last 15 in person, up close, about 4 feet away from him, maybe even 3 feet away from him. The last 15 minutes of his first term, right before the inauguration of Kamala and Biden. And everybody was depressed. We're all sad. And I saw him, and I called you, Kathy. President Trump was grinning ear to ear. He was so, and I said, this man does, I told you, I said this to you guys too. I said, he does not have a worry in the world because he knows something we don't. And here we are 4 years later, and he's back, and you look at what he was facing on the last 15 minutes of his first term. And then you look at Kamala. The way Kamala's behaving right now shows that she's mentally unfit for the job. On top of her political positions and other things, she is mentally unfit for the job. I want to mention one thing here. I don't know the woman's name, but Kathy and I watch QVC. And the reason we watch QVC, we mostly watch in the Kitchen with David, a few other shows. The reason we watch QVC is because it's relaxing. The news and everything can be so stressful, and we put QVC on, and it's totally relaxing.
I love it. My mom hates it. I don't know why. She's an old lady. I love QVC. But Brian and I watch it all the time.
Okay, you looked her up. Okay, there's they have a bunch of new people. Why are we talking about QVC? I'll tell you why. It'll make sense, guys. There's a lot of new people on Right Side Broadcasting. Brian Glenn left. I don't know what's going on at Right Side Broadcasting. I don't know anybody that works there anymore currently. I don't know what's going on over there. I don't know if they've changed ownership or if the owners brought in new management, but they've changed all the personalities, and they've even changed their format a lot. And a lot of you may not know this. They've been monetized again on YouTube. They were not.
Yeah, I think I like all their people.
They were. I do too. They were not monetized on YouTube for a long, long time. They're monetized on YouTube, so they're making a lot of money on YouTube. They got a lot, and that's why they do such long streams.
And let me tell you, that is a hard thing to do. Those hosts, they have to sit there and fill about 6 to 7 hours of time. And they do go back and forth to the studio, which I think is why they do that, to give them some of a break. But that is not easy. I mean, you do a 3-hour show every day, and these guys go to rallies. Sometimes it's 100 degrees outside, and they're dressed up in their, nicer clothes, walking around, sweating to death. And that is hard to do that. And then the rally starts, and then they have to hang around. I mean, it's like a 10-hour stretch.
It's not easy. When I get off the air in the mornings, about an hour, maybe 2 hours after I get off the air, I'm like collapsed out of energy. It takes a lot of energy. Plus, I get up so early to do it. But those guys on Right Side, it takes a lot of energy to do what they do. But anyway, one of their personalities, one of the new people there, Kathy and I had QVC on, and she was on QVC.
Yeah, she's my favorite on Right Side.
She's still on Right Side, but she's on QVC. What was she promoting? Jackets or something?
We just saw her. Because we have it on with the muted. It was like a pullover, like a pullover thing. Kind of looked like a poncho.
Yeah, and she's Nikki is her name. She's not one of the younger people on.
Nikki Stanzoni.
She's probably around in her 50s, early 50s,
yeah,
mid-50s.
Very pretty.
And she's got long hair, so you might know who she is. Nikki on Right Side, and she's on QVC, and she's still on Right Side Broadcasting. Isn't that something?
Yeah, Nikki Stanzoni. She's from New York.
Well, I'm curious about this.
She's very good.
Because I'm shocked actually that because usually, I knew she was a professional TV personality, but usually their TV career's over in the mainstream before they would do something like Right Side because of the political thing. But she's doing both QVC and Right Side Broadcasting at the same time, which, I don't know. Maybe that's just the country. It's,
she must have a very good agent, and she's like a professional presenter, broadcaster. And this is just a gig he got her. She's very good.
I looked her up when they first brought the new people on Right Side. I looked them all up, including her. Okay. And she's been doing stuff with QVC and other TV stations for a long time. Yes. So she's not new on QVC. But what I think's going on here is this oppression of MAGA is not as bad as it used to be. Things have let up.
Well, yeah. I mean, for them to hire her when she's on Right Side.
They know
as
she's
well.
on.
Yeah,
QVC
exactly.
knows she's on
they
right
know her
side.
resume.
They know she's on right side.
Yeah.
Believe me, they know.
They should hire her more often because she's very good.
Right
and
side or
on
QVC?
QVC.
Oh, yeah.
They should hire her more to be a brand ambassador because she's very good.
So it's Nikki from Right Side Broadcasting. If you go on the RSBN website, you can look her up. And
Stanzoni.
She's not a full-time person on QVC.
Or on Right Side.
No. But she's on both. I thought that was interesting. Now, I want to thank all of our Patreon supporters. And those of you that are new Patreon supporters, welcome to all of you. And remember, if you become a Patreon supporter, you have access to commercial-free episodes of all the podcast episodes, okay, guys? And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on the program. If you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of this and every episode, okay? But these are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Mike P, Carlos, Paulette, John, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Richard, Alice, K-Mac, LeeZep, Shawna, Constance, George, Brandon, Rob and Trish Wilkerson, Christy R, and John S. These are our top Patreon supporters.
I want to correct, I said her name wrong. It's Nikki Stanzione.
Yeah.
Nikki Stanzione. Yeah. And yes, thank you to the patrons.
Nikki from Right Side.
Yes.
All right, we're going to take our break and be right back.
How would you like to have your very own personal trainer wherever you are, wherever you go, and whenever you need it, and at a price you can afford? Sounds impossible, right? Founded by Hoa, a strength and conditioning coach, personal trainer, and professional athlete, Hoa Fitness will give you personalized workouts, nutrition plans, and wellness resources, all in your pocket. Whether you're at home, on the go, or in the gym, you'll have your own custom fitness plan tailored specifically to your body and to your goals. Want to lose weight, build muscle, or just feel better and healthier? Hoa Fitness will give you expert-guided workouts as well as meal plans designed for you and your goals. Also included are mental health tools like guided meditations and stress management techniques, because wellness is more than just the physical. Stop juggling multiple apps. Hoa Fitness will bring it all together in one place: fitness, nutrition, and mental well-being. Sign up right now at HoaFitness.com. That's HOHA Fitness.com. Download the app and start your personalized fitness journey right now. Your personal trainer, personal nutritionist, and personal wellness coach right in your pocket. HoaFitness.com, because one size never fits all. HoaFitness.com. It's that time of year again, Christmas shopping time, and there's no better place to find unique, personalized gifts than ActicFoxMarket.com. They're your go-to Etsy shop for custom gifts, home decor, accessories, and so much more. Whether you're shopping for a loved one, a coworker, or just looking for something special to give yourself, Arctic Fox Market on Etsy has you covered. They have everything from cozy apparel to custom accessories. You'll find something for everyone, and they're veteran-owned and operated, based out of Texas. Use the promo code FAV25 and save 25% off your entire purchase. They also have fast, free shipping inside the United States. Start shopping right now at ArcticFoxMarket.com and start crossing those names off your Christmas gift-giving list. Unique personal gifts delivered right to your door. ArcticFoxMarket.com. Parents, grandparents, and teachers, are you looking for a special book to help your tween navigate illness or crisis? Then add the new book from author Kathleen Bassoff, Adventures of Murdove Cove, self-help book for fragile and ill kids, available on Amazon to your child's reading list. This is a unique book that's designed with tools for young children facing tough times. Using imagination, visualization, and empowering exercises, it's written specifically for sensitive and struggling children. In Adventures of Murdove Cove, join the adventure of 3 boys at St. Christopher's Memorial Hospital as they explore Murdove Cove. This heartfelt story offers practical life lessons, the magic of miracles, and techniques to minimize pain and cope with crises. Help your child feel empowered and supported with Adventures of Murdove Cove, self-help book for fragile and ill kids from author Kathleen Bassoff. It's available right now on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and Kindle Unlimited. Give your child the gift of resilience and hope. Order your copy right now. Adventures of Murdove Cove on Amazon.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. So Dave Ramsey endorsed Trump today. Well, let me play it, and then we'll talk about it. It's a pretty big deal, Dave Ramsey.
Okay. I'm looking at ideas and which ideas land on which side of the aisle. Where am I most likely going to get a tax policy I like, an immigration policy I like, a foreign policy I like? Where am I most likely to get a gun policy I like, a climate change policy I like, a woke policy I like, that I agree with? Where am I most likely to get that? And I can check those boxes very clearly, very quickly on these two candidates. So I'm going to tell you, I'm voting for Donald Trump, not because I'm voting for Donald Trump.
Are we going here?
That's okay. But because I checked those boxes, and more of those are on that side than on the other side.
Okay. So I don't know who this co-host of his is. Are we going there? And, you know, Dave Ramsey, let me tell you why this is important. Okay. He's a controversial figure, Dave Ramsey. People either like him or hate him. I think he's a bit of a snob. Okay. I mean, he's full of himself, but he has millions of people that listen to him each and every week. And the people that follow him, he's got like a cult going on, Dave Ramsey. Okay. I know. I assume he comes from the Christian world because a lot of the evangelical churches are always promoting the Dave Ramsey programs for people to get out of debt and everything. And I haven't listened to his show too much, but sometimes I'll listen to clips of it on YouTube or something. And he gives some pretty tough, it's very easy for him to give all this advice when he's worth so many millions. But, you know, of how people shouldn't have debt and shouldn't put this on credit card. You know, people struggle. And, you know, luckily, Kathy and I don't have credit card debt. We used to.
Well, you know, we did take his advice with our credit card debt. And
getting rid of it?
And, and we've been credit card debt-free for about, I'd say, 8 years? Maybe 5 to 8 years, completely debt-free. But we did take his advice because, like all young couples, we had built up some debt. And his advice was, and this isn't unusual to him, but you had listened to one of his shows.
Yeah.
And it was pay off the smaller cards first and then go to the next highest. Don't start with the bigger cards. And he said, go with the ones that have the least amount of money. Pay those off first. And that's exactly what we did. We probably, you know, I'd say 6 or 7 cards, and we're like, okay, we got to get this under control and get these paid off.
Which we could never do.
That was a goal of ours.
It's called the snowball method.
So, and that was his advice, and that's exactly what we did, and it took us about 10 years because the interest is so high, but we did it, and over maybe 8 to 10 year period, and we got everything paid off.
Yeah,
so it was a good feeling that day. The last one I paid was a great feeling.
Let me tell you, I love checking the mail because there's nothing there but junk mail.
Right.
There's no bills because we don't have any credit card debt anymore. So so he does. I'm not saying he gives bad advice. He gives some good advice, but he's pretty heartless. I hear him with some people. He's pretty heartless too with some people. But anyway, Dave Ramsey. I don't know too much about where he came from or anything because I'm not really interested in what he does too much, right? Mm-hmm. But he does have a strong following that's very cult-like, and the people that are
he's well known,
it's beyond like Bruce Springsteen's well known, but his endorsement's meaningless,
right,
okay.
True.
Dave Ramsey, the people that listen to Dave Ramsey and watch and listen to his program, hang on his advice very much so. They take it very serious.
Is his audience mostly Christian? Are you saying like he's got big in the Christian world?
For some reason, I connect him with Christian churches. I that may be wrong. I'm not. I don't know. But for some reason, that I connect him with. And I do know that some evangelical churches have promoted the Dave Ramsey method for people to get out of debt because, you know, hey, listen, that's unfortunately part of American life We're the number one economy and largest economy in the world, but but people have a lot of debt. But people that watch and listen to Dave Ramsey do take what he says very serious. And the way he did the endorsement was different than another endorsement you hear. Like Bruce Springsteen, I think you should be able to love who you love, and Kamala thinks you should love, and you can love who you love.
Whatever that means.
He went through a list of very practical, common sense things and said, I looked at what checks off the box on this,
but I don't think Trump has a woke ideology, so I don't know what the hell
no. He didn't say he had woke. He was saying who agrees, who's where I am on woke, which means he's not woke.
Well,
it was kind of a generic thing he said, but no, he's not woke, Dave Ramsey.
He's really smart because Trump did an interview with him 2 weeks ago, and now he got him to endorse him. He did an interview with Dr. Phil. He's doing interviews with, now he's doing Rogan, and I promise you, I don't know, Rogan's kind of a coward, but I would not be shocked if Rogan came out and endorsed Trump.
I'd be shocked.
We'll see.
Well, you know what,
they're
Kathy?
doing that interview.
You know what, though?
He's smart to do. He's not doing mainstream. He was on Fox and Friends this morning.
Yeah.
But he's really doing these other platforms because
he did Patrick Bet-David this week.
Patrick Bet-David, which was great. And he did Tyrus from Gutfeld, and that was amazing. I saw clips of that. And these people are really they're asking different questions than the mainstream media would ask, which is nice.
This is the thing about all these interviews in Rogan. Rogan could have interviewed Trump 1 or 2 years ago and was too cowardly to do it. Now Rogan's coming in when Trump's
jealous.
It's safe now. He's going to win. Everybody loves Trump now. He didn't do it when it would have been like a big deal because he was afraid to take a risk. Now it's not such a risk for him to interview Trump.
I think he's jealous because all these other people are getting interviews and he's not.
But Patrick Bet-David, I was talking to Richie the bus driver about this today, and I wasn't going to bring this up, but Richie did. And the reason I wasn't going to bring it up is because Patrick Bet-David, he's based here in South Florida, and I'd like to be a guest on his show. And I've said this many times. I do not do guest stuff. I don't do I turn down interviews, okay? And I had something happen with a friend of mine a couple months ago. I did an interview with a friend of mine on their podcast. And we weren't in the same place. They interviewed me. I was on the phone. And this is a friend of mine, and it's fine. And, but what they did is they did something that is the reason why I don't do interviews. It was recorded, and I was on the phone, and they're in another state. And they were recording me on a app or something, and they forgot to hit record on their microphone. So their part didn't get recorded, and my part
so they
did.
Say.
No, it didn't get recorded. No, they're a friend of mine. I trust. Their part didn't get recorded. Just mine did. So they went back in and added in their part and questions. And you and I were listening to the interview, and you had told me you didn't really answer his question. You told me that a couple times, and I said, yeah, but I don't really remember the question like that. I guess I don't know. It just, by the time it aired, it had been like a couple of weeks since I'd done the interview, and it sounded a little off. And I talked to him, and I didn't give him a hard time about it. And he says, oh yeah, I forgot to hit record, and I had to add my part back in. I said, okay, he's a friend of mine. One of the reasons I don't do interviews is when you do interviews, once you do something with somebody, especially if it's recorded, they got it, and they could do whatever they want with it. And I'm very cautious about that. But I do,
or paranoid.
Yes, I'm paranoid too. But I would like to at least take a tour of Patrick Bet-David's place, because Patrick Bet-David, and I'm not sucking up or anything, he's just in town, and what got me interested in wanting to do it is not just for the publicity for me and stuff, that would be great, but I saw him give a tour of his studio. And Patrick Bet-David, Kathy, has the most badass studio I've ever heard of in all of my life. He bought a bank building. The building used to be a bank, and his studio is inside what used to be the bank vault, but it's still the vault. It has the big door that you walk through.
It probably has good acoustics, wouldn't you think?
I don't know. It seems like a lot of metal in there, like those where they sign on the back, on those autographs. That's like where the safe deposit boxes were.
So how would you make that soundproof?
Well, it's not soundproof.
Where it doesn't reverberate.
They have stuff in there to do it. When
Yeah.
Trump went to Patrick Bet-David's studio, and that's in Fort Lauderdale, and he was in the vault. And when I saw him give a tour, it's
That's
got the
pretty
big
cool.
vault door on the outside still. I thought that is so freaking cool. I want to see that. Yeah. So it's not just that I'd like to be a guest on the show. I'd really like to just give a tour, make a YouTube video showing the studio. And I've mentioned this a few times, so I didn't talk about the Trump interview that Patrick Bet-David did because I didn't want people to think I was sucking up to him to get on the show or to get a tour of the studio, even though I do want to do both. But the Patrick Bet-David interview, it's so interesting because I've seen almost every single interview Trump has ever done. I can't swear that I've seen every one, but I've seen most every one. And some of these interviews he's done lately, Patrick Bet-David and the one with Tyrus, which I'm going to play some of the Tyrus interview
that was good.
Coming up. Tyrus from Fox interviewed him. Patrick Bet-David did a very, very good interview with Trump. And Trump was not like you would normally see him. He was very mellow. And a lot of people say this is what Trump is like when he's not on the air.
This is why I like these interviews that are not the mainstream media because they're not consumed with trying to get Trump. They're not consumed with trying to make him look bad. So these interviews
they're trying to get to know him.
You should watch because they're really getting to know Trump, and you see a different side of him.
That's right.
Because they're actually interested in having a conversation and getting to know him as a person, as opposed to what can we get him to make him look bad? How can we trip him up?
And ask one of the same 1,000 questions you've heard 1,000 times.
You should watch these interviews. They're very good.
But Patrick Bet-David pointed something out that I've never seen anyone do, and he showed a chart. See, this is the part that I thought might be construed as sucking up, which it's not. Patrick Bet-David played a clip to Trump of Obama, and he was talking about Trump's talking about the economy. That was my economy. That was me. That was my economy. You know how Obama gets all weird?
He looked pathetic.
And Patrick Bet-David, he put up this chart, and he played the clip, put up this chart, and he said to President Trump, he says, you were talking about, the head of the Fed, they go in once a month, and then they just make up a number like they're great. He went and showed the interest rate charts of Obama, during Obama, Trump, and Biden. When Obama came in, the Fed dropped the interest rates to 0. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't that Obama did a darn thing to make the economy better. They were giving away free money and financing and loans. The interest rates were 0.
Exactly.
When Trump came in to screw them, they raised the interest rates. When Biden first came in, they're high now, but when Biden first came in, they dropped the interest rates immediately to try to give Biden a boost. So
that's what they do.
So what
Democrats.
And Patrick Bet-David, he didn't just say it, he showed the chart, kind of like Trump's immigration chart. It was the same kind of thing. And I never thought of it that way, and I hadn't heard anybody bring this up. The Fed fixes it so Democrats have great economies and they try to screw Republicans.
Well, why didn't they do that for Biden? Because they
did in the beginning.
But something must have happened.
I'll tell you what happened.
Maybe that's when they started putting in the coup.
I've been telling you guys this since it happened.
Because remember, we didn't buy a new house because of that.
And I'm glad we didn't buy that new house.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Because the interest rate was like 8.5%.
I know. I couldn't believe. I told I couldn't believe it. And when
crazy.
And when the real estate agent, I told him no way, and he had the mortgage broker call me, and I told the mortgage broker, I said no way, and he says, oh, they'll go down in a few months. I told him you were here with me on the phone. I said with Biden in the White House, I said they're not going to go down with a Democrat, and they've been going up and up. But anyway, this interview that he did, Patrick, I'd never heard someone point it out that way about how the Fed manipulates things to screw Republicans. And I thought that was pretty amazing. Now, I want to pull up this interview with Tyrus.
But I don't understand why. Something must have happened.
Oh, yeah, I didn't finish my thought. Okay.
Yeah.
The Afghan withdrawal.
Yeah.
I told you, I've been telling you guys since it happened. Biden, in his cognitive decline, ordered that withdrawal against the deep state's wishes. And the CIA and all the intelligence agencies, they lost a lot in that. Remember that, Bagram, that Air Force base is 150 miles from China. And that was a CIA spy post. The CIA operation that they put in place for 20 years. Mm-hmm. And the deep state turned on Biden with the Afghan withdrawal.
The Fed started doing that.
That's when they turned against him. Yes, that's when the coup began, is after the botched Afghan withdrawal, which we were going to withdraw, but not like that. And remember, they did it so quickly, Biden, that they even left the payroll of all the Afghans that have been working for the United States over there on our payroll since we invaded Afghanistan. So the CIA lost a 20-year operation, and a lot of their people were killed.
So maybe that's when
they turned on him.
They started thinking of replacing him with and forcing him
somehow.
out.
Yeah, I've been telling you guys that since it happened. That's when
it started.
And I stick with that.
The plan went into place.
Yeah, so a lot of these interviews that Trump's doing are amazing because they bring up things. They've been bringing things up to Trump that others haven't, like the thing I just told you about the interest rates. Tyrus, you guys know Tyrus from Fox, the wrestler, and
he's on Gutfeld show.
Yeah, and he did it. I guess he's got a podcast or something, and he interviewed Trump, and he brought up Trump's charity that he does that he never talks about. Listen, this is Tyrus with President Trump this week.
Nelson Mandela and 80 of his constituents were trying to come to the United States.
Yeah.
The United States government wasn't helping him. No one was helping him. You chartered a 727 plane for their entire trip.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that here, I tell you this because I talked about this thing with Nelson Mandela on the radio show this week and on YouTube. When Mandela was coming to the United States for a tour, he wasn't the president of South Africa yet. Okay. No one he needed a chartered plane for this U.S. tour. No one would provide it. The United States government wouldn't provide it, and no organization in the United States or in the world would provide a plane for him for his U.S. tour. And Donald Trump, at the time, he didn't have Trump Force One, as we know now, but he had a jet charter company.
Yeah.
And he loaned Nelson Mandela one of his charter jets, which was a 727 for his U.S. tour.
Here's a guy, Nelson Mandela, that was imprisoned
for 20 years
during apartheid.
20 years.
During the racism of apartheid. And you have Joy Reid, and then Trump, you know how expensive that is to charter a private plane? And Joy Reid and Sunny Hostin, who's turning white, she looks like Beyonce now, and Michael Jackson, they have the gall to go on TV every day and tell you this man is a racist.
Mm-hmm.
That is, to me, so sickening. These people are all liars. Al Sharpton is very good friends, was with Donald Trump, okay? He knows he's not a racist.
Yeah.
He actually said on his show the other day that he's worried Trump's going to put him in jail.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a break. He just wants to keep his job at MSNBC to keep his young wife happy. And you know what I'm saying? These people, some of them are drinking the Kool-Aid and really believe what they say. But a lot of these people are just are saying what they're saying to keep their jobs. That's all it's about. Now, Joy Reid, I don't know. She's just an angry woman. But Trump has done so much. You'll hear for yourself.
Yeah, so let me get back to this. So this is Tyrus on his podcast. It's called Maintaining Tyrus with President Trump.
How is somebody, and that's crazy because you can talk about anything, and why is it hard for you to talk about the things you've done? It runs in your family. Your father helped build a synagogue. I mean, why do we not know those things?
It's something that I've never, I love doing it. I don't need praise for it.
I hit the button by accident, guys, so I'm sorry. I won't keep doing that. But while I'm queuing it back up, I'll just say this. The reason he doesn't brag about it and promote it is, and I'll tell you why, okay? President Trump is a very religious Christian man.
I think so.
And he believes that bragging and promoting the charity takes away the charity. You understand what I mean?
And I think he learned that from his father. He said last night that his father he's been to the Al Smith dinner with his dad when he was younger many times. And he said his father gave a lot of money to the Catholic Church. And he said every time, if I would walk down the street with my dad, every time there was a guy with a cup, like a cup out for money, he said, my dad will put a $100 bill in it every time. He said he was very generous. He said he was a tough guy, but he had a heart of gold. And that's how Trump is. And he said he didn't brag about it. He didn't talk about it. And I think he learned that lesson from his father, too. I think his father said, you help people because you have the money to do it, but you don't brag about it. You know what I mean?
No, and
that's a person with character.
And Kathy gives a lot to not just charity, but you give to people and help people individually sometimes too. And I'm just mentioning this now because of Trump's situation. I don't talk about that. Kathy doesn't talk about it because, I don't think as Christians we're supposed to go out and brag when we give charity and help. I'm not doing that now. I'm just talking about what I think President Trump's point is. And
you're not.
And I think President Trump believes that as a Christian, you're not supposed to brag about your charitable things that you do, that God knows. And that's the only God's the only one who needs to know. All right, I'm sorry, guys. I hit the button by mistake on Tyra, so I'm just gonna start it over, but I won't keep stopping it. I promise. I hit the stop button by accident when I was trying to hit the pause. Okay, we're gonna have to hear about Nelson Mandela again.
That's okay.
That's okay. Do you mind? I hope not.
And 80 of his constituents were trying to come to the United States.
Yeah.
The United States government wasn't helping him. No one was helping him. You chartered a 727 plane for their entire trip.
Yeah.
How is somebody, and it's crazy because you can talk about anything, and why is it hard for you to talk about the things you've done? It runs in your family. Your father helped build a synagogue. I mean, why do we not know those things?
It's something that I've never, I love doing it. I don't need praise for it. I don't, we all like a certain level of praise, but I've never, I just like helping people. I help a lot of people, and I enjoy doing it, and I never talk about it. It's nice that you bring it up. I also think it's not a narrative that the press likes talking about, for me.
But I think it would help a lot of the American people who have been misled, I myself included. Now, listen, I'm voting for you now because of the man you are, not just because of the policies, because not every American will get the opportunity that I had to saw who you were backstage. And that's why I have this list. I mean, I have testimonials. We can't go through all because
I want to see them.
Now, this was. I had to dig deep.
I like that.
You donated $100,000 to raise dogs. You're not even a dog guy. Yeah. Explain that.
Well, that's Lara. So I have the wife of Eric, and she's a terrific person. She's actually now a very big, an important person in getting elected in the Republican Party. Comes from North Carolina. She loves the dogs. And I did that in her honor, actually. And, if you listen to her, boy, dogs are treated very badly. They're, some evil people having to do even with dogs. So I did that for my daughter-in-law. Yeah, more so than me. I don't know that much about dogs, but I want to take care of them. And I had an opportunity. As president, you can do a lot of things. I did a lot. The size of the kennels, the size of the cage. There's like cages that they're in. And it's terrible. It's like you have no room, no nothing. And she came in with a whole group of people. These are people that really fight hard for dogs. I mean, you have people that fight. And she's a good person, so I did it for her.
I have hundreds of employees who have said things like, you've paid medical bills, you've paid mortgages, rents, you've helped get family members. There's one story in here where a brother came in with a business plan, nobody would hear him. You gave him 10 minutes, you shook his hand, and you cut him a check. Yeah. Why is it so hard for you and even your team? I'm a little upset. These are things that I think the American people need to know. And I get it, you're humble because
okay. And by the way, this podcast that Tyrus does, it's on Outkick. So if you want to hear that whole interview, I don't know if it's available outside Outkick. That was a clip that was on X. Okay.
I have to say real quick, I watch Gutfeld sometimes. Yeah. And now that it's on earlier, I watch it even more, and it's very good. They have
I like it. I like Gutfeld.
Very good writers.
Yeah, they're
good.
It's
so much better than any late night
they're
show.
All good. This thing with Tyrus, okay? I agree with Tyrus that I don't expect or want President Trump to brag about paying people's mortgages off and stuff, but his staff should get that out there. I don't. You and I and those of you that are MAGA, we know a lot of these stories. I didn't know about the dogs, but we know a lot of these stories about how he's paid people's mortgages off and helped people out and paid medical bills and stuff like this. And but most people don't know about that. And Elon Musk at his town hall in Philadelphia yesterday said this election is about the future of civilization. And so much is riding on this election that the American people really need to know this. He's not this villain that Kamala Harris was barking about today.
Yeah, and I was going to say I like Tyrus, and he's very insightful.
He's a smart guy.
He's very smart. And, you look at him and you wouldn't, he's a big guy. He's a wrestler. I love when he gave Trump that belt with his name on it. That was awesome.
Yeah.
And he said, I understand now why you fight, because you put your family first and you see everything happening to your family and what they're doing. But Tyrus is very intelligent. I was... he says things that are very insightful, and I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I like him. It's a good show, Gutfeld, and very funny.
Well,
very
the thing with him on Gutfeld, because that's on too late for me, guys. Okay, I do
at 10 o'clock now.
I'm asleep,
but I watch it sometimes.
I do like Gutfeld a lot. Okay, I didn't like him when he first came to Fox. I like him a lot now, but Tyrus. When he's on that show, it's more of a professional wrestler role that he's kind of in when he's on that show. That's the first time I've really seen Tyrus like outside of the wrestling character totally.
Yeah.
And that interview, if you go and look at that interview, Tyrus talks a lot more and gives a lot more specifics of things that he's seen with President Trump backstage when there's no cameras on, and it's fascinating.
I think it's important, like I said, to watch these interviews if you haven't, and share them with your friends. If you have anybody that's on the fence about Trump, send them these clips or these links to these interviews from YouTube, and I'm telling you, they will see him in a whole new light. And I just feel like Trump is, I'm not saying he's not the same person, but I feel like he just has a different perspective on things than he did. I mean, look at everything he has been through for the last 12 years, or since he went down the escalator, more than anybody could ever imagine what they've put him through. All the energy, all the time wasted attacking this man. It's just incredible to me, and I don't understand it. The only reason I can think is because he does things that the deep state doesn't like. Like somebody asked him, he did an interview, I can't remember who it was with, and they said to him, why don't they like you, the deep state? What is it about you, And he said, it's all about the airplanes and the contracts. He said, it's all about the military contracts. He said, I did not agree with the deals they were making. I got us better deals. And that was the problem.
Like, remember Air Force One?
That was the first thing he said.
Like, remember Air Force One? They were going to charge like a ridiculous amount, and he got them way down on Air Force One.
Contracts with other things that are maybe going to the Ukraine or other things like that. So,
and you know what? I just thought of, if you this is beautiful. If you remember, they're building this new Air Force One, and he wanted a new paint job.
Yeah.
The paint job that Air Force One has now started when Kennedy was president, and he wanted this red, white, and blue thing, and Biden reversed that, and it was so far off. The new Air Force One is going to be done during his second term. He might. I hope he gets us that red, white, and blue Air Force One.
He might. I'm sure the paint job is the last thing to do.
Yeah, that would be beautiful.
Yeah,
I got to tell you,
he makes beautiful plane. His plane is gorgeous.
It is so much more beautiful than Air Force One.
I could live on that plane and be. It's like a luxury flying apartment. It's really just absolutely beautiful.
Now, Kathy mentioned this earlier. I've been running into President Trump's motorcade like on a regular basis now when I get off the air at the radio station, and the security around.
Yeah, it's on the way home from your work.
Yeah, yesterday when I got off the air, I was driving home. And they had blocked off the roads for the motorcade.
Yeah.
And President Trump has more security now. They block off more roads now than when he was in his first term. I'm not going to go through it all now. I did go through it on the show this morning. So if you guys were listening, you heard me. I'm not going to go through the whole thing now. But the amount of security around President Trump is. Kathy, I can't even describe.
That's good.
There's so many helicopters in the air. It's like Apocalypse Now with those helicopters.
Yeah. I even asked you when you were driving home. I said, "Are there helicopters?" And you said, "Yes."
Oh yeah,
they're
everywhere.
They closed off 3. You have I-95 that runs north and south. It's like the major highway, obviously, that goes up the East Coast. and you said they had closed off 3 main roads that go to I-95 just to get him to the airport.
Now, before they upped everything, when he was out of his first term until recently, they didn't shut down the roads for Trump. And I'd mentioned this a few times. His motorcade had like 3-4 cars in it, including the one he was in, and they didn't shut down the roads. In fact, I saw them stop for a light once. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And
that's nuts.
And now they not only do they shut down the road from Mar-a-Lago to the airport, they shut the roads down on the north and the south of it. And I saw cars. I mean, the police block off the exits off of I-95. There's cars miles back. The traffic. There was not this much road blocking off when he was in his first term.
Yeah.
So they're taking his security to a level I've never seen before, and he's not even back in the White House yet. It's like a poll. They know he's coming back, so the powers that be in Washington that are in charge of this, they're sucking up to the boss because he's coming back in January. So they don't. You know what I mean? They want to be like, well, we've been protecting you. Look what we did.
Well, I don't know if it's that or if
the threats are pretty serious too.
The threats are very serious.
But they didn't. But after
American people are seeing what's going on and are very open about their feelings about it, and I think that they're giving him this security because everybody's watching.
But Kathy,
and everybody's paying attention. Everybody's like, you better protect this man because if not, we're going to know who's doing this, and you know what I mean?
This thing is new. This started about 2 weeks ago.
What I'm saying is, do you think Biden? I think Biden has also ordered him more security because I think Biden is secretly, or maybe even Jill Biden. Maybe Jill Biden is behind this. They hate Kamala, like Trump says.
I can't imagine she's behind anything good.
Maybe they ordered it. Maybe the new head of the Secret Service ordered it because he's like, look, we're looking bad.
Well, he wants to be the permanent head of the Secret Service and not get fired when Trump comes back.
That's true. He's going to be his new boss. So that's probably what it is.
Yeah.
Everybody's looking out for their own.
Well, listen, we're out of time for today. We will be back next time. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We will talk to you next time.